Hello folks, James from Hadrian's Vehicle Services here. I just wanted to take you through today the process of a safe wash method. The whole purpose of safe washing your vehicle, if you've been sent here via ourselves, if you've just had a ceramic coating done, or if you just found us via the internet, it's just to basically, totally as it says in the word, safe wash the vehicle to make sure you don't put any more swirl marks or scratches back into the paintwork. Obviously, for all you people out there who have done ceramic coatings on the vehicle and you want to maintain the car yourselves, it's imperative that you do clean the vehicle in a safe wash fashion, because obviously at the end of the day it would be quite a waste of money if you were to either strip the ceramic coating off the vehicle that you've paid a lot of money to put on. Obviously our ceramic coatings are fully warranted anyways, so you would just be able to bring it back and we'll do it for free. But it's just basically prolong the vehicle's ceramic coating. Not only that, just reduce the amount of swirl marks that you're putting in the paintwork. Like I mentioned before as well, all you people who've been out there who have had paint correction done of ourselves, obviously getting all them scratches removed, it would also be a very big waste of money as well if you weren't to kind of, you know, keep this safe washing process up, because you're just going to put scratches back into the vehicle and obviously get it back to the condition it was before it either came to us or you had it done elsewhere. So just as a little diagram here, safe wash method, so mind the spelling. So a safe wash, what is a safe wash? Now in layman's terms, if you imagine your vehicle here, just a very bad drawing of a car, here's the window, there's you inside of it. A safe wash method is just basically the safest way to remove the contamination from the paintwork and get it off the surface of the car, as mentioned here in this really good diagram. And then from there you can basically then contact wash the vehicle. Now with contact washing, you want to make sure everything's off the surface of the paintwork the best you can before we then obviously go into kind of, you know, put an actual contact to the surface of the paintwork, because that will cause swirl marks and scratches, obviously, if there isn't all that contamination removed beforehand. So we're just going to work on the work van today, show you the whole process start to finish of how to basically do the whole safe washing process. And obviously it'll give you a good understanding if you would like to continue and obviously do it yourself, or for all of you out there who have had the ceramic coatings done of ourselves, as mentioned before, probably in person, we do offer a mobile valeting service which can come to your door. All the technicians are fully trained, obviously to fully safe wash the vehicle every single time and obviously prolong that ceramic coating. Now the first protocol for any job that I do is just put some gloves on. Obviously you don't have to do this, it's personal preference. From there I'd recommend investing in 3 buckets, so you can have 1 bucket specifically for your wheels, obviously with a few utensils in there which I'll go through, 1 bucket for the soapy water for the body, and 1 bucket for clear water. And that'll obviously be a rinse off the mitt if it ever gets dirty, obviously reducing the kind of swirl marks that you put into the vehicle. Obviously if you have a pressure washer, I'd 100% recommend using a pressure washer, and I'd also recommend getting some grit guards as well, just to obviously save getting any grit. So the first thing to do if you haven't used a bucket for a while like ourselves is basically clean out the buckets of any contamination that could be in the buckets. Just fill them up like so, and obviously we've got 3 buckets to fill up here. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to invest in some pH neutral car soap. There's no specific brand, but all the kind of products that I mentioned here, I will link on Amazon, which you can just buy directly through Amazon. So just any pH neutral car shampoo. 1, it's going to lubricate the kind of contact in between the paintwork and obviously the actual mitt that you're using. And 2, it's just going to really kind of drag all of the contamination via a snow foam down to the bottom of the vehicle, which in turn is going to get all the mud off the vehicle before you obviously do the contact wash process. So just fill yourself up 2 buckets here with solution like so, and obviously I'd recommend getting a snow foam bottle as well, because it will obviously save you a lot of hassle in obviously the process of cleaning your vehicle. Right, so once you've filled these 3 buckets up, what I'd recommend the first thing to do was be our pre-wash phase. Now in the pre-wash phase, the whole purpose, as mentioned before on the really good diagram I made, is just to basically get all this contamination off the surface of the paintwork. You've got all this dirt here off the roads at the moment with it coming up to winter. You want to kind of basically drag all that and get it all off without physically touching it, because as soon as you were to drag a mitt across all that dirt now, it would just scratch the surface of the paintwork. So the whole purpose of the pre-wash phase is to remove as much dirt and grime as possible from the surface of the paintwork, and obviously before you then contact wash it. How we're going to do that in the beginning, you can use pH neutral pre-wash. Obviously if you've got that, this would be the time you'd spray it all on and then obviously rinse it all off. But the first thing I'd always recommend doing before any chemical goes on is just grabbing a jet wash and just basically go around the whole vehicle nice and thorough and just remove as much as possible before you use the chemicals. And this is just going to really disturb all the dirt and obviously prepare it for the snow foam pre-wash phase. Another thing I forgot to mention as well on this phase, what you want to do is get right in all the arches and spray them out too, because they are the dirtiest part of the vehicle. Right, so now all that's done, obviously we've rinsed as much as we can off without any chemicals, and what we're going to do is put the snow foam on, and we're just going to put it really thick here. We made quite a thick dilution, and we're just going to let that sit for as long as possible. And what we're going to make sure in this process is that it doesn't dry, especially in the summer when the sun's beaming down, and it's quite alright now since it's autumn, but in the summer especially it can dry quite quick, so it's very imperative that you make sure that it doesn't dry on the surface of the paintwork, because that can lead to chemical burns and all sorts of bad things that you would have to get machine polished off. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let that sit for as long as possible. As you can see, obviously the snow foam is working with gravity, pulling everything down from top to bottom, and that's just going to pull as much contamination off as possible. Once that kind of phase is finished and everything's starting to nearly dry and pull everything off, we're then going to rinse it off, and that's where we're going to start our contact kind of wash from there. Right, so we've waited a few minutes here, and as you can see, this is what I'm starting to talk about. It's starting to kind of blotch up. It's not really doing anything anymore. It's done its job of basically bringing everything down from top to bottom using gravity. So from there, we're just going to do a thorough rinse of everywhere just to get as much contamination off the vehicle as possible before we then contact wash. Right, so once all the pre-wash is kind of done, the first thing we're going to move on to is the wheels, and the only reason we do that is because the wheels are the dirtiest part of the vehicle. So when I get that over and done with, that's why we also use its own kind of bucket, just because you don't want kind of the contamination from the wheels crossing over to the body, because it will scratch the car. So what we're going to do, froth up some snow foam. Now the chemical that we're going to be using here is a chemical called Red 7. Now it is pH neutral until it reacts. So these wheels aren't ceramic coated, so we can kind of use these, but what I'd recommend, if you do have wheels that are ceramic coated, is I'll put a link in the description below for a product that is a pH neutral, and that will work for your ceramic coated wheels. So you're just going to spray a lot of product all around the vehicle. And like I say, when this reacts with iron deposits, it turns purple, so you'll probably be able to see that. on the other side. A little bit. Now, with regards to the tools needed for the wheels, it would be best to invest in a few little different things. So we've got this long brush here, which is for the barrels. This wool brush, which is for inside the spokes. We've also got a wheel mitt, 2 wheel mitts, one small, one big, and a tyre brush, which is in there somewhere, and a normal brush for the faces. So all we're going to do is just go around every single spoke like so, with this wheel brush for the spokes. And just make sure I get all around the spokes like so. And now I don't know if this one will fit in there. Oh, it will. There you are. Now for the barrels, just this one. Right, now from there, you know, you can use a wheel mitt, but it's imperative to make sure that this is clean, otherwise it's going to scratch your wheels. It's just the quickest way to kind of do things that we found. Get right in there, and then there should be a brush in here somewhere. There it is. A little bristle brush like so, just for around the studs. And then finally, if I can find it, there it is. A tyre brush, hard bristled, to get right into the tyre and obviously clean it. Now, all you're going to do is repeat that on all 4 wheels. Once that's done, rinse the wheels off. That'll be the wheels complete, and we can move on to the body. Now from there, I'd always recommend neutralising the wheels. I don't care what kind of chemical you use them, whether it be pH neutral or not. It's always best practice to neutralise the wheels. All neutralisation means is that if there's any kind of chemical, whether it be acid or alkaline, on the actual wheels or any part of the vehicle for that matter, you just kind of have to neutralise it via a snow foaming process. And this is just where the pH levels of the actual chemicals are then neutralised, so it doesn't react if it's left on there and obviously start cracking the paintwork or cracking the wheels up. And that's how you tend to find with, you know, some vehicles where people take it into driving car washes, etc. The wheels start to deteriorate quite quickly. Right, so all you're going to do is let that snow foam sit on there for a few minutes, and then rinse it off thoroughly again, and that will be the wheels neutralised. Obsolete, it's done with. You can just put that to a side, empty it. When you do empty things, make sure not to get any of the actual cleaning utensils out on the floor, because that will obviously pick up grit in the surface of the utensils, which then if you then go to clean your car with it, it'll just scratch your car yet again. So all we're going to do now is move on to the body, and with the body we're just going to fill this up with a bit thicker snow foam. You want to try and get the snow foam quite thick, just so it sits on the vehicle for quite a while. And then all we're going to aim for here is just to snow foam the whole thing top to bottom, and then want to be working in a very systematic way. So you want to start top to bottom, since the top's always the least dirtiest part of the vehicle. Break it up into sections, every half a panel or panel. You want to be cleaning the mitt in the clear water, and then obviously putting it back in the salty water, and then just repeating the process until the whole vehicle's cleaned. Another thing I forgot to mention was always get yourself a nice new clean mitt. Keep one specifically just for the body. Make sure it doesn't get dirty. Put it in a plastic bag once you're done with it. Clean it every time you use it. Might sound really anal, but this is just to basically make sure nothing gets in the mitt, because as soon as any little contamination, tree sap, bark, you know, anything off the floor, if you drop it, you know, that's just going to scratch the paintwork. So if you do ever drop it as well, make sure to wash it straight away. Don't use it anymore because you will just scratch the paintwork. Right, so once that's all snow foamed, obviously it's time to do the contact side of things. So if you do need a hopper, I'd recommend buying one just so you can get on the roof of your vehicle. Don't ever use them telescopic brushes, things like that. Does make your life easier, but also scratches the paintwork. So all you want to do is work in straight lines only. Start from the top and work your way down. You just want to be working very systematically. And the reason we work in straight lines, because if there was any chance that you were to put a scratch or any sort of mark in the paintwork, it would be straight, so it would be less obvious to see. Obviously there is two sides of this mitt, so I would consider that now dirty on this side. So to do the other side of the roof, we then flip the mitt over so it's now on the clean side, and do the other half of the panel, and always working in a systematic manner. And this is just to basically make sure every single part of the vehicle has been cleaned. Now that's the roof, that's probably its own panel done. So what I would do with this mitt now is clean it to make sure it hasn't got any contamination in the actual mitt. So I do is get my clear water, mix it around a few times, bring it out as best you can, and then from there back in the soapy water, and then back on to another panel of the vehicle. And like I say, just break it up into sections, always working in straight, systematic lines, like so. So now I've done that half down, flip it over, do the door to the same level, and then obviously once we've done that, we'll then clean it, like so. Just working nice and systematically, and from there back in the bucket. And it's just very imperative that you keep washing your mitt off, because if it does have any contamination in the paintwork, it'll just come off in the bucket. Get behind all the handles as well. And then the lowest part of the vehicle is obviously going to be the dirtiest, so just make sure that you just work in little sections at a time and always rinsing off your mitt. Right, another thing to take into consideration when doing this, as mentioned before, is the sun. You don't want anything to dry on the paintwork. If you do see anything drying, you just basically want to grab the jet wash quickly and mist the actual place where you think it's about to dry. Obviously with the sun now shining down on the front of the vehicle, especially in the summer, it will just kind of cake all the chemicals on, which is what you don't want. So by misting, all I mean is literally grabbing the jet wash from a distance and like so, just mist it on, and that'll stop it from drying on, but also keep the chemical there so you can go around and make sure everything's lubricated to stop scratches from happening. Right. Right, now once all that's done, a case of thoroughly washing the vehicle off. Obviously if it's ceramic coated, which this one isn't, it would be easy, very hydrophobic to get everything off. Now all we're going to do is use a rinse aid. If the vehicle isn't ceramic coated, now it's very imperative to ask the customer if the vehicle is ceramic coated or not, just because if you spray this on a ceramic coated vehicle, it will affect the ceramic coating on the vehicle. So if it isn't ceramic coated, and that means it has not been done, make sure to get the rinse aid out, spray it absolutely everywhere, windows, glass, wheels, everything, paint, plastic, and just get it absolutely everywhere with the vehicle. Now from here, you'll see all the water started to be hydrophobic, everything's going to bead off. And all we have to do now is just rinse the vehicle off, and then from there, dry it. I just want to add to that now, as you can see, all the hydrophobicness of the water, it's all just beading off. So the last part of the process now, obviously it's ceramic coated, all the water's beading off, everything's clean, it's all decontaminated, all safely, like shown before, would be to get yourself a nice drying towel. You can get these from pretty much anywhere, but I'll also link one in the description below. Now the key with this, a lot of people think put it on and drag. Wouldn't really recommend that, just in case there is any kind of contamination on the paintwork. Obviously it's up to you if you'd like to do that, but if you're trying to be as safe as possible, I really wouldn't recommend doing that. What I would recommend doing is drying the towel like so, and just dabbing it on, pulling it off, and just do this around the whole vehicle until the vehicle is fully dry. And this is just going to stop any contamination that may be in the towel or on the paintwork ever scratch the vehicle. I know it seems a little bit more anal, like I said before, but like I say, it will keep the vehicle nice and protected, nice and safe, nice and clean, and just keep the longevity of the paintwork around a lot longer, if that makes sense. Right, so there you have it, folks. I've taught you through how to basically do the whole safe washing process, start to finish. Just as a clarity, we did a pre-wash in the beginning. You can either use a pH neutral citrus pre-wash or snow foam. From there, we rinsed all that off as most thoroughly as possible to remove as much contamination from the paintwork. We then applied a chemical to the wheels to break down the dirt on the wheels, safe wash them, neutralise the wheels. From there, put a snow foam on the actual bodywork of the vehicle, and then worked in separate panels, always cleaning the mitt, which is very imperative if you want to keep it this nice, lovely, clean look, which doesn't put any more scratches in the paintwork. Once we've done all that, we then dab in the towel all the way around the vehicle until the vehicle's nice and dry, like so. And as you can see, you've got a lovely clean vehicle, which is probably going to last a lot longer than usual, just due to the fact that obviously it's safe washed. You're not going to put any more scratches in the surface of the paintwork, and just really keep that investment of yours nice and tidy and obviously looking its best.